Hi, I'm back. So I am still kind of in a process of completing my commission project, and it is challenging. Um, so I'm having to create a lot of songs, about 20, um, which means a lot of different melodies and idea concepts for each one. So it's taken me a lot longer than I thought it would. I started out really strong at first because I had lots of ideas, but as you move forward, I find that after some time, things start sounding not the way that I want them to. So I've slowed down some. Um, this is kind of different from my everyday making a song every day idea or things that I normally do. Um, I'm having to venture into music that not ever touched, like traditional stuff, um, and things that have more melodic melody tones. So it's challenging, but in a good way. Um, I'm starting to really see that spending that time practicing every day, as well as learning some theory and scales and chord knowledge has really helped me come a really long way. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about on this video. I want to dispel a lot of the misconceptions that I hear and see um, about music theory that that's being pushed around our community. Music theory is kind of like the language of music, and yes, you can get by without having to know it, but it makes your life so much harder from a knowledge perspective, meaning that if there's an opportunity or chance that you would have to maybe perform live, for instance, being able to like sit down and play an instrument would be difficult without the theory. While you could learn by ear, and a lot of people do play that way, sitting down with a group of people and just pulling together information in constructing songs is a little bit more complicated because you're not really knowing the keys that you're playing or coming up with ideas and chord structures for things would be complicated. So it does have its purpose. Also, conveying your thoughts about ideas for songs is rather complicated. If I didn't have that, I would have a hard time with understanding how an R&B song is constructed, um, or being able to piece together how some gospel music is played. Um, it's just it requires just a little bit more than being able to be a great arranger. Being a great arranger is fantastic because it allows you to be able to pull together many different ideas and concepts um, from basically anything and create something, which is great. But with theory, at least for me, I found that all of those ideas and things that I hear from a song perspective, um, the things about them that I like the chords that are being played, I can pull those out of the songs that I like and come up with my own songs, which is great. Sure, you can use MIDI packs for that, but it's just so much more difficult using those types of tools because you have to learn the tool and still you still have to kind of have some knowledge of theory, um, like the chord numbering system, um, or at least some ideology behind it to be able to use them effectively. And I'm talking about more than just for a lot of the trap music that we hear. I'm talking about like more of the R&B stuff, more of the pop stuff that we hear all the time now. Also, as far as the more ballad based music that's out. Those things, they use a lot of different chord structures, as well as styles of arrangement where key changes and things like that are needed. Um, so it goes a long way with helping to be able to kind of advance your skill set beyond just playing a basic loop. And also being able to create your own loops. Having the ability to be able to create your own melodies is, it's like nothing else. Because you could just sit down and basically pick a key and come up with melodies from that key and combine it with other harmony um, styles in that particular key, and really invent something um, that, it came from you and not borrowed from someone else. Um, yes, music has been traditionally recycled over and over and over and over again. Um, the language of music has made that happen. Without the chords and the scales, um, you know, there would be no platform for us to be able to do that without having an extreme ear, um, and being able to replicate the sounds. But there's so much information available that allows you to be able to learn those types of things in an easy way, that it's just kind of foolish to not do it, honestly. And nobody's saying that you have to be able to read music, and be a music theory god or goddess. Just having the basics, um, understanding scales and, major and minor chords and those types of things really go a long way in helping you to be a better musician. Um, and no, not everybody is a musician, and I realize that as well. But if you're a producer and you're creating music for somebody else to perform to, you kind of are a musician. You're creating the music, the underscore, the platform for which the vocals are sitting on top of. So that does kind of make you a musician. Um, Lastly, I have to say that learning it is a growth process as well. Um, I haven't been resistant to it ever, but over the years, I slowly gravitated more towards trying to understand the more complicated things, um, and really getting a grasp for how to use them. Because ultimately, I want to be better, um, and I know from the things that I am learning and have learned that from an arrangement of music perspective, it's made my music sound better. I can sit down and pretty much go through any genre that I'm familiar with, and come up with an original song based on that style that I'm picking, which is, that's really good. And I've been challenging myself with that for a long time. I don't like being put into a box, and being limited by the walls in the box. It's important to be fluid and open, have an open mind to all types of music. At least it has been for me, because it's something that I love. I love all kinds of music, and from an early age, I was listening to a lot of everything. Um, there are some genres that I'm more comfortable with, not just because of the comfort level, but just because I like those genres, like R&B, pop, hip hop, trap, that kind of stuff. Those are the things that I'm comfortable with because I've listened to thousands and thousands of hours of those types of tracks and songs. So I'm familiar with the rhythms, the patterns, and the ideas behind those types of songs. But rock, um, pop, and that type of music, jazz, which is something that I've loved since a very young age. Those things also are something that I really love as well. So, um, from a learning perspective, I've not ventured into deeply into jazz. Um, I've I've used a lot of jazz chords because it's something I've always been fascinated with, the textures, the harmonies, the oddball kind of uh, um, I call them abnormal chord structures because they may sound out of tune in some contexts, but when they're played in the specific key, um, and matched with those things, they don't sound out of place at all, which has always been super fascinating to me from a musical perspective. Because jazz is like so, it's a really advanced type of music concept because it comes from a lot of different places. It grabs the best of a lot of different types of music and brings it into one type of style. That is all that I've got for right now. I just been thinking a lot about music from a musical theory standpoint lately. And I've seen a lot of videos lately that really try to dispel you away from trying to learn just even the basics, which makes no sense. It's just a lot of people with a lot of insecurities, personal insecurities, that refuse to try to learn themselves, and they want to push those insecurities off on other people, and it's just not necessary. Especially in this day and age, there's so many different ways to learn. Even if it's really difficult, you find it hard. It's just like in school when we had to learn algebra. Some people pick up algebra just like it's nothing. And some people, like myself, we struggled at it and struggled and struggled, and we had to have extra help to be able to understand the concepts, to be able to be successful and get and either on par with where we should be from a learning perspective with it. And some people are just like that with music as well. Don't let it be a crutch. Don't let stuff be a crutch. I don't like having crutches. I don't like people telling me that something is bad for me when I know that it's not. When I see people all around me not having those things as crutches and being successful at it and being able to make things in extraordinary ways, just because they know something about how it works. And you should be that way too. Never be afraid to question things and people. People have that's kind of the issue. People are complex beings that mostly use their own individual emotions behind things to drive stuff. And people in power, and meaning people with power who've successfully have done something and been successful at something, will put their own personal feelings and emotions into stuff without really thinking about the effects of those things on other people, because they feel like their success can be other people's success, and it's not always the truth. Just because you were successful doing a specific thing doesn't mean that someone else can walk behind you and do the exact same thing and have that same success. It just doesn't work that way. Um, some of it is luck. Some of it is just the right place and the right time. It's just really it's something that aligned with the stars and the universe made it happen. So you can't you can't believe everything that you hear and see on the internet. And I wish that kids would have that opportunity in school to be able to explore music through music programs and those types of things, so that they can see for themselves as well that, yeah, if you learn your DAW and learn how to program things, and yeah, you can use loops and you can use your drum programming skills to be successful, but down the road, when you want to try to switch gears and get into something else, you'll be limited by those same skill sets, and you'll be forever pocketed into that one particular thing, which is a limitation. It's a crutch. So if you learn the basics and really focus down on the basics for however long it takes, it doesn't even matter. And you don't have to be worrying about how old you are. Um, there are people like that do it as a hobby. They are continually learning. We're all continuously learning something about music, those of us who venture into it and do this type of stuff. So it's a lifelong learning lesson, um, from a uh, from a musical perspective. So those are just kind of the thoughts that I've had lately. I'm going to get off my soapbox. I may call this the soapbox video, because that's what I feel like I'm on right now. But I just had to get that off my chest, and that's all I've got to say about it. I'll see you on the next one.